This is an AI documentary reconstruction, a visual reconstruction of how a tsunami can develop on a small island. At first glance, this looks like an ordinary island day. The town is active, the roads are open, and the ocean seems safe. In moments like this, danger often goes unnoticed, because the first signs can look almost silent. Look closely. The water suddenly pulls away from the shore. In a real situation, this can be one of the warning signs of a tsunami. When the water pulls back this far, it means one thing: a massive body of ocean water may return with far greater force. A new line of water appears on the horizon. From this moment, the calm scene begins to turn quickly into a threat. The scale of the wave becomes clear only near the shore. It is higher than the trees and moving faster than it appears. The coastal zone takes the first impact: sand, light structures, palm trees, and everything closest to the ocean. Now the flow reaches the road. The water does not move like ordinary flooding, but like a dense mass pushing everything ahead of it. Notice the vehicles. Even heavy cars lose stability when the current begins pushing against them from the side. The wave enters the town. Now the streets, shops, and low coastal infrastructure are directly exposed. Places like gas stations and small stores can lose function quickly, even when the water rises only a short distance. Even important buildings can become isolated. The water does not only flood entrances, it can block access to entire blocks. Here, the street stops functioning as a road. In just minutes, it becomes a directed channel for the flow. Even large transport becomes vulnerable. For a tsunami, a bus is not an obstacle, but another object inside the flow. At this stage, the water is no longer simply flooding the town. It is changing the movement of everything on the street. From the air, the scale becomes clearer. The water has taken over the streets and turned the lower town into one continuous flood zone. From above, it is clear that the flow does not spread evenly. It gathers cars, debris, and structures in narrow spaces between buildings. In close view, you can see how the water pushes from the side. Even a stationary vehicle begins to act like a barrier inside the current. When water hits windows and metal facades, destruction does not always begin immediately. First comes vibration, pressure, and repeated impacts from debris. The harbor takes a particularly strong impact. Boats, docks, and light structures are among the first objects the flow pulls loose. In the tourist district, the damage becomes especially visible. Parking lots, access roads, and ground floors quickly enter the impact zone. Details like this show that a tsunami does not only damage buildings from the outside. Water enters vehicles, rooms, and technical spaces. In industrial areas, the flow becomes even more dangerous because of heavy objects. Containers and pallets turn into moving obstacles. It is important to understand, a tsunami often does not arrive as one single wave. The next surge can be just as dangerous as the first. When the water begins to recede, the real picture of the aftermath becomes visible: mud, debris, and damaged infrastructure. After the water recedes, we can see how the flow changed the direction of objects. Vehicles and debris remain where the current lost strength. The mud line on the walls helps show the height of the flow. It is one of the simplest signs of the flood scale. Bridges require special attention after events like this. Even if the structure remains standing, the flow may have weakened the supports. In the harbor area, the aftermath is especially visible. Water collides with boats, piers, and many light structures. From above, the path of the water reads almost like a map. The flow followed low areas, streets, and open corridors between buildings. Higher areas become key coordination points. From here, it is safer to assess the scale and plan the next steps. At night, the situation becomes more difficult. Flooded streets are harder to read, and safe routes often have to be identified from above. When the water recedes, the second stage of the disaster becomes visible, restoring access, clearing streets, and checking damage. After a tsunami, recovery begins with basic steps: pumping water, clearing access routes, and removing debris. From an engineering perspective, the visible surface is not the only concern. The real danger may be hidden in the eroded base of the road. Debris around support columns shows where the flow applied the strongest pressure. These areas require separate inspection. The coastline is one of the first areas to change. A tsunami does not only flood the shore, it physically reshapes its surface. The aerial view shows the main pattern. The lowest areas, open roads, and zones closest to the water suffered the most. This visual reconstruction shows the key point. A tsunami is dangerous not only because of wave height, but because of water mass, flow speed, and how quickly it can change infrastructure.